All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Fat and the Devious podcast. I have Connor and Nathan today, and we're going to be covering Adonism. I know it sounds like I'm not really pronouncing it very clearly, so it's spelled Adonism. So it's based on the Greek god called Adonis, although it goes kind of further. So, Connor, what do you think about the current state of the stock market in this current day?
It's kind of, but
All right.
invested in AMD. They dropped a little bit yesterday, and I was really worried, but they're going back up again. So,
All right,
I'll
great.
be up and up.
Yeah, we're gonna. We're
Everybody
gonna,
invest in AMD right now.
investing is good. All right.
But the Atlanta Federal Reserve upgraded us, okay? We were expected to make a 3% growth in the first quarter, but guess what? They're predicting 3.5% negative growth.
Oh darn! This is like. Well, here's the thing. People like sports, but there's a lot more stakes to stocks. Why don't we just like treat these different companies like the equivalent of our sports teams? Like, why not have like an Nvidia like jersey, and then you like cheer when their stock goes up?
That's all stock market is, though. It's just vibes and cheering.
So
I said, like, yeah, go Team Red. That's why I picked AMD, because I like red more than green.
what is AMD's another computer components company, right? Graphics cards.
They used to be the underdog, but like Intel sucks so much. They're like AMD's completely taken over. Like for like 2 years, like their chips were broken and unstable, and nobody would use them. And then they finally released the new generation of chips, and they were slower than the old gen. Intel just cooked.
Sorry. What I like about Intel is, back in public school, you would look at the computers, like the specs, and it'd be like Intel i6 for the CPU, which is always funny. Like, I'm pretty sure anything below an i7 is like not very good. I don't know. Most of them are like i9 or something these days. But i6.
So like a lot of the school computers would be running Celerons or i3s.
It's a school computer. As long as it can run in Chrome, honestly, who cares?
They couldn't even do that half the time, though.
Oh, yeah, true.
Which was not the school's fault. It was because there'd be like 10,000 people logged in using all like the storage and whatever.
We should just use
one account.
We should just have an episode sometime just dedicated to stupid school memories, like crap like that. It's like, honestly, the stuff that happened at school is just really weird sometimes. All right, so
you should do what they do in the Bart Ehrman podcast, and me and Nathan just ask Ethan about his day and his place.
I was actually gonna bring up that same joke. I was tempted, I was thinking ooh, I should ask, how's your day going, Bart? How about we do it to Nathan?
Nathan. Professor Nathan, how was your day?
Nathan, how was your day?
Got bag shots. I don't know.
Oh, okay, great. All right,
so Nathan's winning and we're all losing.
All right, so in other current events,
I'm sorry.
Apparently, the national language for the America will be English on Thursday. What do we think about that?
It's just the superior language. We were just talking about this before it started.
Oh,
it is
man.
the language of the modern day.
Okay. Why don't we change it? Why can't the national language be Esperanto? An actually good language. Why does it have to be English?
Because it was good enough for Jesus. It's good enough for me.
Oh, well, we'd be speaking Aramaic then.
Bible's in English, bitch.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, I need to go into exile for 30 days and rethink my life choices. Forgive me, Jesus. Anyway, so, yeah.
He'll only forgive you if you donate to Elon Musk.
Okay. But pretty much the only difference between, obviously, English being the national language is weird and petty, but pretty much the only difference is the White House website won't have an option for Spanish anymore. That's it.
What?
Yep. Literally 1984. We're speaking Newspeak now.
Literally, a third of the country speaks Spanish.
It won't be called Newspeak. It'll be called Trump Speak. And Elon will be, in the Department of Government Efficiency, will be like the...
double plus unhuge.
Wait a minute.
It's going to be double plus unhuge.
What department in 1984 determined language? Was that That was Winston's, right? Ministry of Truth?
Might have been the Ministry of Truth. But Doge is literally the real-life Ministry of Plenty. No.
Ministry of Plenty. Oh, gosh. I can't.
I guess sort of.
I need to reread Ministry before. Oh, man.
Definitely does feel like it, I will say that.
Okay.
They literally just lie about numbers all day. So, Ministry of Plenty.
Yeah.
They don't purposely cause famine yet. Yet.
Or go to war for no reason. We're going to declare war on East Asia pretty soon. Or, no, not East Asia. It'll be Canada.
I thought it was funny that, like, in the book, like, the Ministry of Love was in charge of, like, harm and, like, doing bad shit.
That's because every name is the inverse of what it is. Because they wanted hate to be a new love. Right?
But that was supposed to be a joke. But, like, in real life, we renamed the Department of War to the Department of Defense and then, like, launched a bunch of invasions of other countries.
Yeah. Well, there's no reason to name it.
The old name was better.
Well, obviously, they don't want to make it sound like we're warmongering, so they make it say the Ministry of Defense, like, oh, well, you didn't start it. So, now that we've covered current events, I don't want to, like, get too off topic. I mean, we can get off topic during the discussion, but beforehand it gets a little annoying because, like, if like a podcast takes forever to get to the topic, you just have to skip it. So we can get off topic.
Well, that's the point.
But, well, yeah, I'm just saying let's get straight to the topic, then we can get off topic once we've started, if that makes sense. Okay, so Adonism was started by German esotericist Franz Sattler. And so German esotericism is, I know everyone's probably familiar with German occultism, but basically there was kind of like an esoteric revival, like an occult revival in Germany in the 19th century. We have Helena Blavatsky. Blavatsky. I literally just searched up Theosophy woman because I forgot her name. But yeah.
Know who that is?
So,
yep.
You don't know who Blavatsky is? Oh, but
I haven't heard of her.
Remember Theosophy? I sent you like a link to it the other day.
Oh, she's the one that started that?
Here, let me... Yeah, so Theosophy is kind of like a syncretic... I'm not an expert on Theosophy because it kind of... No one really talks about it because... To my understanding, it's not really talked about because the Nazis co-opted it, but it's kind of like a syncretic religious system of... It started off with...
their British website. That was interesting.
Yeah, so Helena Blavatsky was pretty influential. They kind of like had... It was, so Asia was pretty closed off, and when a lot of Westerners went to visit Asia, they brought back a lot of that knowledge. So stuff like yoga, some martial arts came back, and that was because of, some theosophists, and it was a syncretic thing, was tried to combine a lot of religious stuff. And their slogan is, there's no religion higher than the truth. So, or that's some quote, but it's basically like their, slogan. So it was, and Theosophy is also... I think it's... I don't know if Arianism is... Like, Arians are necessarily, like, associated, but Ariosophy, I think, is associated, but, Nazis kind of, like... Well, I should say, Theosophy was mainly concerned about evolving as a species. It wasn't necessarily using Aryan ideas. I think that was mainly injected. I mean, there may have been some, but like I said, I'm not an expert, but basically the idea was you can evolve as a person, so you get the... you're kind of trying to become superhuman with some theosophical ideas. Does that make more sense? But
sounds like Gnosis. If like gaining knowledge helps you evolve.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting comparison. I think I don't think there is overlap with Gnosticism, but yeah. So that's the type of stuff. Europe is dealing with, like Germany is dealing with, is a kind of like an occult revival that was kind of cut short with World War II. So we have Franz Sattler, and he started Adonism, which was kind of followed the Roman pantheon. So they believed in 5 gods: Belus, Beltis, Adonis, Dido, and Mulkos. Mulkos is kind of like their equivalent of like Satan, or I mean, it's not 1-to-1. it gets kind of funny. So Molkos they blame for every other world religion. They're like, oh, Christianity. Oh, well, Molkos. I mean, he's just starting all these religions to deceive us. Islam. Oh, Molkos did it again. Molkos reincarnated himself as Muhammad. So they just like blame everything on him, which is stupid.
This feels like it almost. I know this is maybe a bit of a stretch to say, but like learned in the past about. Told you about like Baha'i faith, right?
I think so, but if you want to tell the audience, you can, or if you don't want to, that's also fine.
I'm not super knowledgeable on them, but
oh, sorry, knowledgeable on what?
Correctly.
On what faith are we talking about?
Baha'i.
Oh, Baha'i faith.
I don't know if you have more.
I know very the fundamentals of Baha'i faith. So you probably know more than I do in that regard.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I doubt I do.
I've read about them. I think I just forgot, so I might need to remember. So
all I remember is that they have like their deity, a very ambiguous, like it feels like the antithesis to that with the old Molkos ghosts, right?
So are you trying to say that like the ambiguity of like different religions, so that how different religions intersect
the
is just
ambiguity of the villainizing.
Okay, so kind of like how ancient Israelites would just assign every other Canaanite deity as just a demon, that kind of thing.
But like obviously, like the Baha'i did it like in the opposite direction, I guess. But like
so they're saying that different faiths are different interpretations of an ultimate truth, that kind of thing.
I think that was what like the Baha'i were trying to get at, but I don't know. At
that point, we're kind of dealing in like Manichaeanism, which is formed by like a prophet named Mani, not from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. That'd be weird. But Mani. So Manichaeanism combine elements of Platonism, Christianity, Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, and Mani also claimed to be reincarnation of Buddha and Lao Tzu, so that also brings in Taoism. So have you ever read like a really weird fan fiction where it just brings in like way too many franchises and you're like, what am I even reading anymore? That's kind of what Manichaeanism is. You're like, okay, why is Star Trek, Star Wars, and Stargate all in the same book? That kind of thing. But in the case of Manichaeanism, it's more interesting because they're bringing these things together. It's not like some stupid fanfic. And not to mention, I think when a religion ages, it becomes more legitimized. Like, get like a stupid religion, and then give it like 200 years, and then suddenly it's legitimate. Is that fair to say?
Mormonism started the day. Like, if somebody just said, yeah, I found plates and translated them.
We all should read them.
No, people still do that. I could name at least like a million.
People still do that, but you got to give them a couple hundred years before they're taken seriously. Because now Mormonism is like respected. Like even Master Sergeant said he respects Mormons.
I mean, it's no worse than any other Christian faith. I mean, if you think about it.
But for a while, people were like calling Mormons thought them as like.
That's because their comparison is the Christian creed. Like, I mean, just because you don't follow the Christian creed doesn't make your religion any less legitimate. I mean, Gnostics were discriminated against. And Manichaeans had to go into hiding to, so they wouldn't be persecuted. So I think just more religious tolerance kind of made the difference because, I mean, you're basically like, the actual differences are minuscule. I mean, so what if one group thinks that the Trinity is stupid? I mean, let's be honest, the Trinity doesn't make sense. And it was only because who was the Roman emperor who converted? There was an ongoing debate, and then whoever the emperor was sick of seeing all the debate. He's like, well, can't you guys just choose one? So then he chose the Trinitarian doctrine because it was just the easiest. So there were other models proposed which made more sense. I mean, there were some other weird ones like saying, oh, well, God the Father and God the Son. Well, just because he's the Son, that means he's also the Father. Because if you're a father, you're also a son of someone else. And then they're like, okay, well, why is he the father of himself? That's weird. So that was another weird interpretation.
That was Constantine that summoned the first council of Nicaea. Okay.
Oh, got it mixed up. My bad. I think Constantinople is a location. Let me search that up.
I think it's Istanbul now.
There's an entire they might be trying to solve.
Yeah, Constantinople is a place. I don't know why I got mixed up with Constantine. Silly me. All right.
That's going to be stuck in my head all day.
It goes hard. It's a good song.
All right, so let's focus on who Franz Sattler was. So he's born in Bohemia, and
another good song.
Yeah, so he went to University of Prague to study philology, which is like a study of ancient languages, basically. Then he traveled to Albania. So, and then when he went to France, he got put into an internment camp. And he made friends with one of the guards who had an occult library, or just kind of a library in general. And he had books on theosophy. And he had books by Helena Blavatsky, Annie Besant, Charles Leadbeater, Camille Flammarion, Maurice Maeterlinck. And he kind of just used that as a base, kind of like, all right, so I don't know if we have enough knowledge to really consider this as like a cult. It was a while ago, so we can't really apply the bite model now. I think we can at least say this guy is full of crap. I mean, later on we'll see that he's a con man. If he's a con man, his intent is to deceive other people through this religion. So let's just
he made this up knowing like he is just there to scam people.
I mean, that's how most religions start, right?
Like Jim Jones. That.
Jim Jones didn't really start a religion. He kind of started his own denomination, like Branch Davidians. And before I go forward, here's a weird fact. A lot of cult leaders, since they're narcissists, they're egomaniacs, they always start like a band. Like a lot of big cult leaders always have a band. I mean, probably the biggest one is like Jared Leto. I mean, his isn't really, it's kind of tough to really classify the echelon as a cult because he'll like say, oh yes, this is a cult, but I think he's just kind of doing it like, oh yeah, it's a cult. What are you going to do about it? Just stupid. But basically, so Jared Leto, he started a band called 30 Seconds to Mars, and he started getting really obsessive fans. And instead of, saying, hey, maybe let's not get this obsessed, they played into it. They started going to like private islands, and you can pay Jared Leto to have sex with him if you're like a fan, that kind of thing. So
that's actually insanely funny, but
yeah,
continue.
So
getting paid to have sex with your fans is crazy.
Yeah, and you have to send him a picture of yourself to make sure you're worthy.
Not ugly.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, I'll take your money, but you're gonna have to pay me a lot more if you're that ugly. Yeah, so I think it's more of a cult of personality. I mean, you have to pay absurd amounts to go to like their island retreats, but they're mainly going because of him. So it's mainly a cult of personality, I would say. So
imagine if Mao did that. He could have made so much money.
Like Kim Jong-un. Imagine like Kim Jong-un like sex islands. Man, I bet that's a thing.
There's plenty of people who are obsessed with him. So
I mean, yeah.
But they have no money to pay. Like he'd have his sex island, he'd be like, oh, pay money, but nobody has money.
I mean, Kim Jong-un, his wife used to be in a band, like some band, and then the government killed all her band members, and she's mainly used for propaganda purposes. He has like tons of concubines, but they just keep his wife around just for, basically an escort, just to keep her around for the press, like to pretend he's practicing monogamy, but he's actually
living on thin ice, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's always funny. Kim Jong-un is super fat, and then he always has to get a liposuction. Then he's skinny, and then he gets fat again. And he's constantly having health problems. And he'll disappear for like months at a time. No one will see him, and then he'll randomly just reappear skinny or fat again. So it's always crazy. North Korea is something else, but North Korea isn't even the worst country out there. I mean, Connor, you can name probably a few countries that are worse than North Korea, right?
Yeah, Eritrea, Honestly, I would like Somalia would probably be worse to live in.
Somalia doesn't even have a government, right?
Somalia is kind of they're trying to get one. They're working. They're doing hard work.
Because some quote unquote countries in Africa don't even have governments. They're just like regions that just have so much like war that people just like say, oh yeah, just it's a country, just don't go there because there's nothing there besides just malicious fighting.
Like that map I sent you the other day that showed like the number one trading partner, whether it was America or China. Sudan was the gray one that didn't have any data because they don't trade.
Yeah,
because they're just a war zone.
Yeah, thank you, France, for screwing up Africa.
Not to be racist, but U.S. aid was literally keeping like Africa's governments like.
I mean, there was
without it, like they're kind of doomed.
I mean, I know there might be some aid in Africa, but then America did nothing for the Rwanda genocide. And, education is very limited in Africa. I mean, when was the last time you learned about anything in Africa in school? Almost never. It's basically an entire continent that is just left to its own devices. No one wants to learn about it, touch it, anything.
China does. They've been investing heavily. Hey, shut up. I'm talking about China, but it's not. I don't like China.
Canada? You say Canada invested in Africa?
China.
Oh, China.
China's been investing heavily in Africa. Because we're neglecting Africa, and China's like, ooh, this is our opportunity to, like...
But China's racist, though. I mean, I guess it's profit. They don't really care.
They're treating them like but...
I mean, they'll look past their racism for money. We're going to put our differences aside so that we can make money. So what I was saying was cult leaders will often make music, like Dwight York had, like MF Doom was around in like New York when he was in the hip hop group KMD, and Dwight York, the guy who started the Nubianism, or I can't remember Nubian Nation. Yeah, so he started the Nubian Nation. He owned the record label. It was called Passion Records, and York himself made like soul music, and then and then in the song Peach Fuzz by KMD, they like, in the music video, you can see Nubians and you can see them mentioning York and stuff. So, yeah. David Koresh was in a band too. I think it was like a rock band, just for no reason.
Which one's David Koresh?
What? Yeah, and Aurelianism.
Oh, yeah.
I
know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the guy who started the Branch Davidians. And then
Waco.
The guy who started Aurelianism, Claude Verlahan, I think it is. Yeah, Verlahan. Sorry, it's been a while. Claude also was in I think it was like rock music, but what's really bad is when some of these cult leader music is actually good. Like 30 Seconds to Mars is actually not that bad, and
listen to it.
We get copyright struck. I don't think I want to hear Leto's voice again. It's too much. So yeah, they're all narcissists. So of course they want to make music.
Why YouTubers quit YouTube and go make horrible music because they're like narcissists and like overestimate their ability to make music?
Yeah, or they
everyone will want to hear my voice and then they suck.
Become a pedophile. I mean, yeah, it's terrible. All right, so back to Franz Sattler. So he was also interested in cartomancy, astrology, chiromancy, which is, palm reading, alchemy, necromancy, just basically like whatever he could find. I mean, if you're in a freaking internment camp, you're just going to read whatever you can. And he wrote a few kind of mystical books. One was called the Zauberbibel, which translates to Magical Bible, and Buch der Orientalischen Geheimnisse. I might just cut that out. All right, so one is in German, and I can't pronounce it. Then one is called the Zauberbibel, which means Magical Bible. And those just kind of go over like his weird esoteric beliefs. And then when he in 1927 is when he developed the doctrine of Adonism, and they were based in Vienna, and there were pretty a lot of critics since it was all they were saying it was complete BS.
Speaking about cults of personality, I mean, I think Mao had the best cult of personality. Like, if you just looked at pictures of the Cultural Revolution, imagine having millions of teenagers, like, chanting your name and, like, gooning over your picture. Like, Mao Zedong literally just went to a river and started swimming, and someone took a picture of it, and that sparked a revolution that killed millions of people. Crazy. And I imagine if Donald Trump did that. Like, Donald Trump's Mao Zedong moment would be him swimming in, like, the Hudson Bay, and someone takes a picture of that, and everyone's like, see, the president is still healthy. He can still swim.
Even though he's, like, completely fat.
and then we kill all of the chickens, and then the price of eggs goes really high.
Oh, Walmart started selling, like, paper mache eggs, for, like, decorating eggs during Easter. So, yeah, you can buy paper mache eggs because egg prices are so bad. And no one's going to decorate eggs. All right, so back to Sattler. Kind of his...
The Americans don't eat eggs, because if they did, they'd be healthy. You can't get fat eating eggs.
Really?
You can, but, like, you're not going to get fat eating just, like, straight protein. Like,
all right.
Americans don't eat eggs. They're lying to you. They're complaining about the price of eggs, but they don't even eat them. Yeah. They should try it. Eat 2 raw eggs every morning. You'll be healthy.
So back to Sattler, kind of the start of his downfall is he started selling, like, stuff like talismans or just, like, mystical kind of... when you go to, like, one of those, like, if anyone who's listening, interested in geology, you go to, like, one of those rock stores, there's always that kind of weird corner with, like, Wicca stuff or, some weird mystical stuff because, people are really into, like, crystals and that kind of thing. So there's always kind of that weird area of, like, rock stores that sells, like, a bunch of, like, sage for sage burning, that kind of stuff. Sattler kind of started selling these kinds of fraudulent, mystical things. So he started selling stuff that allegedly belonged to, different religious figures like the Dalai Lama. And, after he got out of the internment camp, he's just trying to supplement his income. And he also made claims about finding gold treasure at the foot of Mount Olympus. And Mount Olympus is where, pretty sure that's where Greek gods supposedly lived.
Yes, it is, by the way.
Did anyone ever try to, like, hike up there and see them, or were they, like, forbidden?
Oh, well, the gods, when you go up there, the gods just aren't there. That's when they leave. It's like when you try and find Santa Claus, Santa won't come if you try and find him. Checkmate.
Yes.
Like, if you set a trap for Santa, he's not coming.
Like the Great Pumpkin. He'll pass you by if you doubt. That's actually such a good, like, metaphor for, like, religion. The Great Pumpkin and Charlie Brown. I bet that was even unintentional, too. The reason you're not getting blessings is you don't believe hard enough.
The Adonis Society was in Germany, and there was already some skepticism. I mean, by this point, I'm sure there was a lot of anti-Masonry kind of starting, because, secret societies were kind of vilified, before and during World War II, and the Adonistic Society was accused of, committing sexual orgies, and there's about, like, 80 members by this point. Like, oh, well, you're so secretive. Well, what are you so secretive about? What, are you guys, like, having sex in there? Come on, you're not going to invite me? Yeah.
They should have, like, in protest of that, been like, Your Honor, they are just too jealous. They want to have sex with us.
Yeah, like, if someone criticizes you, just call them jealous. Like, what? No. You're just jealous. Yep. Well, I think Adonism would have survived if he said that. So, and then so now we get, there's already German, criticism of Adonism, but, it was basically around until about, like, 1943 or so, and then there was the Nazi Party, and of course, Nazis just make up something completely baseless. So, like, oh, Jewish Masonic conspiracy. So they hated anyone with different beliefs. And what I really hate is when people think that Nazis were like the Roman Empire, where they were, like, really effective and, they stopped at nothing to get everything done. The Romans are not comparable to the Nazis at all. Like, the Romans had, like, actually achieved something. What did the Nazis achieve? Nothing.
The Nazi economy was not sustainable. Like, they were able to reverse the economic damages by starting a war, because that just happens. When your country's economy is dying, you can start a war to, like, save it. But that's not sustainable. Like, you can't just fight a war forever. Like, what was Germany going to do when, like, they've lost, like, billions of dollars in the war? They've been, like, you move all your resources from producing productive things to producing unproductive things. Like, if you spend all of your steel and oil building warplanes and tanks, when the war is over, those are all pretty much useless. Like, some bombers, like, some fighters could be used as, like, crop dusters, and some tanks could be repurposed. But, like, most of it is just going to be useless junk. End of the war.
Yeah. I mean, I think Athens... No. Sorry. So, funny story. I was in a class, and the teacher made this, like... He called Athens a warrior state. He's like, oh yeah, Athens, that was a warrior state. I'm like, no, that was Sparta.
Athens did like starting wars.
Yeah, but that's where, like, Socrates lived. I mean, Sparta took it to a new level. They're using, like... Basically, like, eugenics to breed, like... I mean, if a baby was too small, they would kill it. So Sparta took it to, like, a next level. So if you're talking about, like, Greek, like, warrior nations, it would definitely be Sparta. Like, Athens is not even comparable.
Yeah, Athens fought for more based reasons, though. Like, somebody would just show up to, like, their meeting and be like, let's stop and go kill people. And, like, if they just, like, shouted enough and, like, convinced enough people, they'd, like, send everybody to war for... Literally just because a guy showed up and started saying, let's go to war.
Well, that's how you convince anyone. I mean, when has anyone ever convinced someone for, like, something using intelligent reasons? Usually when you convince someone, whoever's yelling the loudest, everyone will just follow them. I mean, like, smart people are not the ones usually influencing people. Like, if you're smart, you're going to be ostracized. Like, how many, like, who was it? Van Gogh was ostracized when he was alive. Galileo, I mean, just because you're smart doesn't mean you're going to have influence over other people. If you're really stupid, that's when people start listening to you. All right, so in 1943 is when the Germans, or I should say the Nazis, banned anything they considered Masonic. So basically just any secret society, they banned it. After the Second World War, any sign of Franz Sattler, just gone. I should also mention, he also started another society called Society of the Alliance of Orion, which also went under. Some say Sattler was in a Vienna prison or the Mauthausen concentration camp, but, you know, I doubt there were any good records being taken in Nazi Germany of all places, so he's probably just dead.
No, they did take extensive records of their death camps. They just burned all of them when they were losing.
Oh, really? That's interesting. So... Adonism, I mean, I'm sure we could come up with some conspiracy about how Adonists went underground and how they're still running the government or something, but by the 1950s, like, I'm pretty sure it died out. I mean, he was a grifter from the beginning, like, he was selling fake artifacts. I mean, there was only, like, 80 members. Their beliefs were stupid. So, unless you're, like, really interested in, like, German esotericism before Nazi Germany, I mean, then it's pretty much, like, not even really... very relevant. I think some people who study esotericism have kind of like tried to like revive it, not literally, but they'll try and find writings of Franz Sattler, that kind of thing. So now that we've kind of gotten through all that, any thoughts on Adonism so far?
It seems kind of goofy, but only in the sense that, like, not something that I would have ever invested in, but it's like something that I would have gone to simply kind of almost mock whoever is there.
So
if I was a bored peasant living in Germany, I'd go there.
Just so, like, hey, I heard there's orgies over there. I mean, sign me up. Yeah, so I should also mention, the main deity they worship is Adonis, and it was considered the god of ideal male beauty, which sounds kind of homoerotic if you ask me. I mean, you're worshiping the god of male beauty.
It's like a common theme back in ancient Greece, though.
Yeah.
The male body was beautiful.
So they worshipped Adonis, which was like, about the male body, and, there's like Greece, Roman, they're kind of similar. The Roman bathhouses, everyone would just be walking around naked. They really didn't really mind. I mean, there was a time when nudity was kind of stigmatized in art, but like, if you're just like hanging out with your buddies, like in ancient Rome, and you're naked, I doubt they would care. Everyone's just naked all the time.
Nobody really cared because it was just such commonplace.
I mean, if you're straight, I guess. I mean, I guess if you're gay too. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You're straight, then you don't really mind. If you're gay, cool, everyone's naked.
Gosh.
I think this whole like stupid rhetoric that Sattler put into his religion of Molokos being the explanation for every other religion, like, oh, it's like what people say to Christians, like, or Muslims, like, well, Muslims are more all encompassing with Abrahamic religions, but someone says to a Christian, like, oh, well, if you're a Christian, then how do you explain Islam? They're like, I don't know, Satan deceived Muhammad. It's like he's getting that rhetoric, but taking it to like an extreme to make it like really intolerant of anyone who's not an Adonist. One thing to take note of, it's a neo-pagan movement in Germany, so even if it was really intolerant of other religions, it was a new religious movement that kind of brought back old pagan beliefs. Because, Christians persecuted pagans for years, so I guess it's only natural for a pagan religion to kind of hate Christians a little bit.
Yeah.
Even if it's for literally no reason. You want to call it for Adonism? Any other thoughts on this?
Interesting. We should bring it back.
Yeah, we should bring it back.
Add Warhammer lore to it.
Yeah, we should.
Warhammer lore.
I mean, so I had basically, this is kind of like the basics. If, if I can find some Franz Sattler books, because I couldn't find the Zauberbibel on, I can't believe it's called the Zauberbibel. That's such a stupid name. It's German, I should say. So the Zauberbibel. If I could find some of his books, I might read them. I don't know. I just find it interesting because it's bringing back some of the old Roman deities. There's been a few movements that kind of try and do that, but this is kind of like interesting. It's an esoteric movement that kind of tries to bring back. It's kind of using theosophy as well. So, all right. That's it.